Welcome to another Vix Vaughn romance audiobook. We're excited to have you join us. Whether you're into second chance romance, enemies to lovers, fake marriage, or any other trope, Vix Vaughn offers you the chance to escape into stories that will carry you away into heart-pounding romance and gripping characters. While we want to get you the full experience, some parts of this audiobook are abridged to stay abreast of YouTube's community guidelines. If you want the full experience, you can always head to Vixa Vaughn Romance and use code VIXA40 to get the unabridged version of this audiobook for 40% off. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Chapter 1. Dom. It isn't easy to live in someone else's shadow, especially if it's your father's. I think pretty much everyone has heard of my father, Jonathan Grenier. He has built the Essex Hotels from the ground up, with nothing but sweat and blood. So, it's no wonder that he immediately made a name for himself in the hospitality industry. Now that he just retired, people are expecting a lot from the new CEO of his company, which is me. I don't want to be known as another ignorant rich heir who inherited all of his daddy's wealth. I aspire to be just like him in every aspect, and I will be. This deal that I've been trying to close for some time now is the key to my success. I'm on my way from Manhattan to the Bedford Hotel to meet with its owner, Walt Morris. It hasn't been easy convincing Walt to sell his hotel to Essex Hotels, especially because, just like my father, the Bedford Hotel is the product of his hard work and dedication. But I'm not the kind of person who gives up easily. Even though courting Walt has been really a challenge, I have a good feeling that my perseverance is finally about to be paid off, and that Walt is now ready to sell his precious hotel to us. I can't even count the number of times I've requested to have a meeting with him. He agreed to every single one of them, but he turned down my proposal every time. I just had to swallow my pride after. As I drive, I try to take in the beauty of Manhattan in spring. Unlike in summer, the temperature is mostly cool, and there are occasional light winds to cool off a person's hot head, especially after surviving an 8-hour shift in the borough of New York City. Of course, let's not forget the colorful and beautiful flowers that are starting to bloom everywhere and bringing the place to life. Finally, upon arriving at the hotel, I go straight to Walt's office, where he welcomes me with a glass of bourbon. We don't immediately discuss business, no. Of course, we talk about other things first, like the weather, my dating life, and anything that is not related to our work. Such a beautiful day today, isn't it, Dom? Walt slowly walks toward the window and watches the people and the cars in the street as they pass by. It is, I agree, as I walk up beside him. I look down to where he is looking, and as usual, every New Yorker is busy busting his butt to make a living. New day. Same old nonsense, Walt remarks, and when I look at him, he's staring off into the distance. I wonder what he's thinking right now. Yeah, but unless you love what you're doing, then you wouldn't mind the nonsense. I learned that from my father. Spoken like a true businessman. He chuckles and then takes a sip of his bourbon. Well, this is too much for me, Dom. Already waving your white flag? Here we go. Hey, I'm not getting any younger here. I'm old and I'm getting tired of handling business matters. What do you want to do then? I ask, even though I already know where this is leading. Sitting on a yacht while fishing and drinking beer wouldn't be so bad, Walt replies with a raised eyebrow as if he's waiting for me to agree with him. You do realize that drinking isn't good for you, right? Just go fishing then. Walt looks at his glass of bourbon and puts it down, waving his hand in dismissal. He walks over to the table and sits, and I follow him. And? I ask, giving him a little push to say what I've been dreaming of hearing these past few months. Please, just let it be today. And, Walt says as he looks me straight in the eyes, I'm now ready to sell my hotel to Essex Hotels. I know you've been itching to hear that from me. Finally! To hear Walt Morris say that is like music to my ears. I pretend not to look too overjoyed, but deep inside I'm tap dancing. I'm glad you finally agreed to this, Walt. I promise you won't regret it. I hope not, he replies, crossing his arms over his chest. By the way, have you seen Sweet Caroline Bakery on the ground floor? I think so. I lie. What about it? That's my tenant, Walt answers curtly. Oh, okay. I'm not sure where he's going with this. The bakery still has 5 years left on its lease agreement. Don't worry about that. I try to say, but Walt silences me. The previous owner, Caroline Andrews, recently died of cancer, and her daughter has taken over the business. Walt scratches his chin before adding, I just feel sorry for the girl because she's all alone in the world now. I understand your concern, Walt. I really do, but this is business. We can't always let our pity for other people get in our way. I know that, but maybe you could let her finish the remaining years in their contract. She's still grieving, Dom. Just let me handle this, okay? I assure you that this won't be a problem. Be gentle, Dominic. Not everyone is as tough as you. Walt rises and picks up his glass of bourbon again before standing by the window, but I remain in my seat this time. The bakery is the least of my concerns right now. Everything and everyone has a price, and I know that the owner will agree to terminate the lease in exchange for money. I just have to give the right amount, and it will all be done. Once I finish my work at the hotel, everyone will remember me as me, and not just as Jonathan Grenier's son. I will make sure that this will be my first successful project as the new CEO of Essex Hotels.
Chapter 2. Willow. I've never given death much thought. That is, until my mother passed away 2 months ago. She was a bright and caring woman, and she was loved by many. To see her wither away like some plant that hasn't been watered in days was just too painful for me. After we found out that my mother was battling lung cancer, she still remained optimistic, believing that everything was going to be okay. I didn't, of course. I knew that we had limited time and that she would leave me soon. And I wasn't wrong. After one surgery, chemotherapy, and other types of therapies that I don't even remember what exactly were called, my mother was taken away from me in just a span of months. Just like that, she was gone. My last memories of her were horrible, mainly because what used to be an energetic woman became a pitiful creature. She was unrecognizable at the end. All of her beauty was erased by a damnable disease. She was always exhausted and sleepy, and she lost so much weight that she almost looked like a living skeleton. She didn't want to eat or drink anything, and she started talking less, which was so hard to get used to because she was such a bubbly person. But I think the most painful part of that was when she started getting confused about time, place, and people, that sometimes she wouldn't even recognize me. I would usually cry when she drifted off to sleep, and for a moment, I would imagine that she wasn't sick at all. I would just sit there beside my mother, stroking her bony hands and singing her a song that she hated. Maybe by doing that, I told myself, she would suddenly sit up and tell me to shut it, and we'd both laugh about it. But that didn't happen. My mother remained lying down in her bed like an invalid, with her eyes closed and her breathing noisy. The noise she made was like a gurgling sound, and that still haunts me up to this day. Before her condition worsened, my mother started the process of transferring the bakery to my name. I remember having a fight with her about that because by doing so, it was like accepting that she really was going to die, but she still did it anyway, and I had no choice but to take it. She passed it down to me as a gift, and since the bakery's worth is not much, she didn't pay any gift taxes. The transition was smooth, but I hated dealing with it, especially now that I have to deal with it on my own. My mother kept telling me that it was the only thing she could give me and asked me to take care of it. As I sit here in our bakery, dealing with all of the paperwork that my mother left behind, not to mention the documents and bills from her hospitalization, I feel like bawling my eyes out. I keep glancing over my shoulder, expecting to see her working behind the counter or serving a table. But I just get disappointed every time. I know that it's impossible, and I'm only hurting myself. I need to get everything organized, but I can't stop thinking about my mother. I used to work at the bakery part-time, and I enjoyed helping my mother with little things. But things are different now because I am solely responsible for the business, and I feel overwhelmed by the responsibilities. I miss you, Mom, and I wish you were here. I owe everything to my mother, and I admire her for raising me on her own. She was all I had, and I feel so lost without her. Girl, are you okay? Ben, my assistant, is the only person who can make me feel good these days. He sits beside me, and I wipe away the tears from my face that I didn't realize were there. I'm good, I answer, sniffling. You miss your mom again? I miss her every day, Ben, I admit, and he holds my hand and squeezes it. I don't know how to do this without her. I know, Willow, but you're strong and you'll get through this. And you know what? What? I'll be here to help you. Ben moves closer to me and hugs me, and it takes everything in me to hold back my tears. Ben has been helping at the bakery ever since my mother died. He's been taking care of the customers, which, I have to admit, aren't that many. The business had slowed down when my mother got sick, and when she eventually passed away, most of our regular customers didn't bother coming back. Thank you so much, Ben, I say as I pull back from our hug. I don't know I can repay you. Maybe you can find me a hunk boyfriend, he teases, smiling, and I can't help but smile too. Kidding aside, we need to do something to get more customers, Willow. I know. So any ideas? Ben starts tapping his fingers on the table, and I find it a little distracting. Doing that isn't helping, I tell him, pointing to his hand. Sorry, he smiles sheepishly. How about we hire some singers or a band to entertain our customers? You're joking, right? Please tell me you're joking because, first of all, we rarely get any customers these days. And second, this is a bakery and not a club. I'm kidding, he exclaims, and I know that he wasn't. How about redecorating the place? Where will we get the money, Ben? I feel so hopeless and useless. How am I supposed to run this business when we can't even think of a decent marketing strategy? I look at my mother's framed photograph on the table, and it makes me realize that everything is in my hands now. I want to honor my mother's memory, Ben. And the only way to do that is to make this bakery successful.
Chapter 3. Dom. You should meet her. Walt turns to look at me from the window, his glass of bourbon almost empty. Willow is such a lovely young woman. Oh, of course, Walt. I rise from my seat and straighten my suit as I prepare to leave. I'll meet with her one of these days. No, I mean now. Walt looks at me like I'm a person who can't easily comprehend. What do you mean? You want me to go to the bakery and talk to her like, right at this moment? No, he replies as he walks toward me and puts his glass on the table. I want you to come with me to the bakery so we could both talk to her. And yes, right now. Walt doesn't even wait for my response and heads out straight to the elevator. I'm a little confused as to whether he is serious or not, but after hearing the elevator bell, I quickly follow him in 5 long strides. The door closes and Walt smirks at me as if he's enjoying that he got me a little disoriented. Are you all right, Dom? Walt asks me as he presses the ground level button. Did that bourbon get you woozy? I'm fine, I reply as I clear my throat and fix my tie. I just thought you were kidding when you said we're meeting with her now. Why would I be kidding? I don't know. We wait in silence to reach the ground floor, and as we do, Walt immediately turns right where Sweet Caroline Bakery is located. He lingers outside the store, and I take that opportunity to scrutinize its facade. The bakery is not too big, with a simple cream, brown, and black motif. Shall we? Walt gestures with his hand that we go inside, and I nod. After you. I let him go first, and Walt goes straight to the kitchen, I assume, to look for Willow. As I wait for Walt, I do a quick tour of the place. The color inside is just the same as its exterior, but it's more attractive because of the pastries displayed on the cake stands. They look too beautiful to eat, and the smell is just enticing. I look at one of the display stands, and I almost drool when I see a red velvet cupcake. I inch my face closer to it, because aside from its frosting, it has this little red velvet cookie on top of it. Not bad. I'm about to reach for one cupcake and, of course, pay for it, when all of a sudden someone from behind me speaks. I quickly turn around and bump on the table, and if it isn't for my fast reflexes, the whole cake stand would have toppled over. The guy in front of me looks as shocked as I am, but I compose myself, and he smiles. "I'm looking for the owner," I tell him. "Is Willow here?" "Oh, Willow is just by the kitchen. She'll be out in a while." "Okay." I nod at him, and he goes behind the counter to work on something. Walt emerges from the kitchen with a young woman with skin the color of creamy chocolate, just like her eyes. She has black, curly bob hair, and she looks feisty. She seems like the kind of woman you wouldn't want to mess with. "Willow, this is Dominic Grenier," Walt introduces me to Willow, and she uninterestingly looks at me. "The new CEO of Essex Hotels. He just recently took after their business when his father retired." "You can call me Dom," I say as I extend my hand. "And Dom, this is Willow Andrews, the owner of Sweet Caroline Bakery." "Hello, Dominic." Willow forces a smile and shakes my hand, but immediately drops it. I sense an air of hostility here. I have to admit that she is pretty, but I can't be distracted from my objective here. I've done this many times before, and I can't fail now just because of a good-looking woman. I won't fail. "Slow day?" The bakery is completely deserted, which is a shame because the food looks great. "You noticed," she replies curtly, and I try not to push it. "Is there someplace we can talk?" Walt looks around the bakery, trying to find a place where he can sit. "Of course," Willow answers. "Let's go to my office." We head to Willow's small office, and Walt settles down on the couch. I sit beside him while Willow sits in her office chair. The three of us stare at each other for a moment until Walt finally decides to speak first. "Willow," Walt starts to say, "I've decided to sell my hotel to Dom's company. As you can see, I'm getting older, and this business is taking a toll on me." "I see," she replies. "I'm sure he will be as agreeable as you, Mr. Morris." Walt chuckles, and then Willow joins him. "Aside from that, Dom will be making some changes to the hotel." "Oh, what kind of changes?" This time Willow directly addresses her question to me. "Well, this hotel will be transformed into a stylish boutique hotel, and I'm afraid it won't have any room for a little bakery." I think I may have said that a little too harshly. "A little bakery?" Willow repeats in disbelief, and Walt gives me a look suggesting that I just went too far. "Look, I'm a generous person, so I'm willing to pay you $25,000 in exchange for agreeing to terminate the lease agreement." "Thank you for your generosity, Dominic," she replies, smiling. "That should help you start someplace else. So, what do you think?" "Oh, I don't know, Dominic. Can you read minds?" "I'm sorry. I'm not sure I follow you. Look at my face and tell me what you see." The smile from Willow's face is gone, and I realize that this is going to be more challenging than I thought. Damn it.
Chapter 4. Willow. I want to close Dominic's mouth as he gapes at me. This is probably the first time that things didn't go smoothly according to his plan. Well, there's always a first time for everything. When I saw him waiting for Walt and me earlier, I was immediately blown away by his good looks. With black hair and hazel eyes, any woman would surely fall for him. However, as soon as he spoke, my admiration for him was replaced with disgust. Dominic Grenier is just another one of those privileged pricks who feel like they own the world. He will take whatever he wants using his fortune, and he doesn't care who gets hurt along the way. Today, I'm going to show him that not everything can be bought with money. I had witnessed my mother work day and night just to establish her bakery. She never stopped when she was tired, but instead, she kept pushing herself to the limit, always reminding me that everything she was doing was for me. I can't just let all of her sacrifices go to waste. So now, as I face Mr. Young Money here, I can't help but feel disgusted. For someone who has recently taken over his father's beloved company, Dominic surely can be heartless. We're both just doing our best as dutiful children to our parents, but he doesn't care if I lose everything as long as he gets what he needs. He believes that I'll be fine as long as he pays me. I can't blame him, really. His life is perfect because he never runs out of money, and he thinks that it's what everyone needs too. I've never met a more arrogant man in my life than Dominic Grenier. As Dominic sits there with Walt, I find it hard to believe that they're friends, mainly because they're nothing like each other. I wonder what made Walt decide to sell his company to this man when there are other more decent businessmen out there. Is $25,000 not enough, Willow? His eyebrows are furrowed, and he looks at me like I've just lost my mind for turning down his offer. What do you think, Dominic? I can't even hide the disgust in my voice. How about 35? Will that do? Are you kidding me? I scoff. I can't believe the audacity of this guy. Actually, he says as he crosses one leg over the other and then leans back. I'm not. I'll do whatever it takes to make sure this project succeeds. Even when you're destroying other small businesses? I'm leaning forward with my hands on the table, and I'm ready to pounce at him anytime. I'm not destroying your business, he replies calmly, which irritates me even more. In fact, I'm offering you some help so that you could start somewhere else without any difficulties. Is that how you see the world, Dominic? That you should take whatever you like because you can? It's survival of the fittest, Willow, he answers smugly. Eat or get eaten. In my mind, I've already slapped Dominic 100 times. How did he grow up to be like this? He is cold and ruthless, and I know that no matter what I do, he'll do everything in his power to kick me out of this hotel. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Dominic, but I'm not interested in terminating the lease. So it looks like your boutique hotel will have a little bakery, whether you like it or not. For the second time today, Dominic looks like he's about to have a mini heart attack. He looks over to Walt for help, but the older man doesn't seem to be interested. I only wish that Walt Morris understands why I'm being stubborn. Willow, you do understand that I'll have to immediately increase your rent to cover increased property management fees and the upcoming improvements to the hotel, right? That's ridiculous, I exclaim as I rise from my seat and pound my fist on the table. You can't do that. I can, Willow, and I will, he smirks. Willow, if I may, Walt speaks gently, and I have to remind myself to take a deep breath and calm down. The lease agreement actually allows for rent increases in response to increased cost. Dominic is nodding in agreement, and I imagine what his reaction will be if I throw my shoe at him. He then stands up to hand me a piece of paper with the increased rate, and as soon as I see the numbers, I want to tear the document in rage. This is just too much. This is double the amount of what I'd been paying Walt, I say through gritted teeth. Dominic shrugs and sits back down while I take another look at the paper to make sure that I didn't read that wrong. Well, what do you expect, Willow? Your bakery is a hindrance to my new project. I expect to be treated fairly, I yell, this time not being able to control my emotions. What the hell is wrong with you? You can't seriously blame me for this. Dominic is once again on his feet. I'm offering you a fair amount of money, and you still think that I'm the bad guy? Okay, everyone, let's calm down, Walt tells us. But it's already too late for that. He stands beside Dominic and asks him to go back to his seat, but I don't think I can still stand seeing his face here. We're done here, I announce as I open the door. No, we're not, Willow. Dominic protests. But Walt puts a hand on his shoulder and shakes his head. Ladies first, Dominic. I look Dominic dead in the eyes as I show him the way out. He leaves my office reluctantly, while Walt stays behind. When Dominic is gone, I feel my eyes sting and tears start to fall. Walt hugs me, and I bite my lip to stop myself from sobbing. I'm so sorry, Willow. I really am. Walt pulls back and I just nod. He gives me a gentle pat on the back before leaving. As I close the door, I can only think of my mother. I reread the document in the hopes that the numbers will change, but they don't. I don't know how to feel right now, but I promise to make Dominic Grenier regret messing with me.
Chapter 5. Dom. Time flies when there's a lot of work to be done. Before I knew it, several days had already passed since I met Willow Andrews. She's a feisty one, but regrettably, her little bakery has to go. It'll be easier for her to just accept the money and set up somewhere else, but apparently a small little bakery is a hill she's willing to die on. My problems just keep piling up. Since my promotion as the new CEO, I've been having way more headaches for someone who's only in my 30s. I make a mental note to have my assistant schedule an appointment with my doctor. The most immediate thing I can do, however, is to grab some coffee. Coffee never fails to relieve my most terrible headaches. The only problem is the office in Manhattan makes the worst things imaginable. I should probably get my assistant to fix that problem as well. A series of knocks on my door interrupts my thoughts. Grateful for the small break from the endless reports, I call out, "Come in." My chief of staff, Sabrina Winter, walks in. Suddenly, trudging through a sea of reports isn't such a bad thing. Straight as a rod, Sabrina is the embodiment of a cool, professional woman in a man's world. Her ruthlessness and unflappable nature are a double-edged sword. On one hand, it makes her terrifyingly efficient. On the other, it makes her extremely hard to deal with. Judging by the frown on her face, she's mostly leaning on the latter at the moment. The initial preparations are complete. We'll need to start working on hotel renovations as soon as possible. I seize the opportunity to get the first word in. If I let her dictate the conversation, we'll be having this meeting for longer than I would like. I'm also eager to start working, Mr. Grenier. However, there is still the issue of Sweet Caroline Bakery. She raises an eyebrow at me, conveying her disappointment that I haven't solved the problem the moment I encounter it. We can't go through with our plans if that bakery isn't dealt with. So this must be the reason why she personally sought me out. Getting rid of the tenant will take a little longer than expected. I drawl as I lean on my chair. It takes every bit of my willpower not to knead my temples in front of her. For a moment her expression is unreadable. Then she sighs and looks me in the eye. Then may I suggest that we use a more decisive solution? That's a funny way to say that we should resort to more forceful measures, but that's Sabrina for you. We don't need to, I assure her, also unwilling to put even Willow Andrews through whatever Sabrina will cook up. The problem will solve itself in about a week. We have enough time to work on the lobby in my office. We can save the bakery for last, but I don't think the proprietor will last that long. Doubt is written all over her face. That's merciful of you. I'm just being efficient, I clarify. I'm glad that you're very determined as I am on this project. I hope you'll help me oversee our initial plans so we can finish the job quickly. She doesn't look like she's satisfied with my answer, but I know that she's the type who only values results. Still, Sabrina knows when to acquiesce to her superiors. She gives me a nod. I understand. You can count on me, Mr. Grenier. Very good. You're dismissed. The sound of Sabrina's heels clicking reverberates throughout the room as she leaves. When she closes the door, I allow myself a moment of reprieve and slump on my leather chair. My personal phone suddenly rings, denying me the opportunity to even have a moment's rest. The caller ID says it's Dad calling. Great. Good morning, Dad. Dom. I can hear the waves through the phone. Looks like Dad is enjoying his retirement in the Bahamas. How's the company? Well, I haven't burned it to the ground yet. I joke. So, I'm probably doing better than expected. Don't give me that. I retired knowing that I'll leave the company in your capable hands. He reassures, seeing my self-doubt through my attempt at humor. Speaking of which, what's the status of Bedford Hotel? I had a bit of a slump, I tell him. It'll fix itself eventually. I hope it does. His tone turns serious as he adds, I have full faith in you, my son, but let me remind you, all eyes will be on you during this transition period. I know. I hope you get what I'm saying. Yes. I nod even though he can't see me. In addition to my growing headache, my shoulders also stiffen. Everyone, especially the shareholders, is waiting to see if I can successfully integrate Bedford Hotel into the Essex Hotels brand. That's my boy. Despite the relief in his voice, I still feel the weight of his reminder on my shoulders. It seems like I'll need to see a masseuse as well. Just calling to check in. Don't work too hard now or you'll drive yourself to an early death. Unfortunately for you, you don't have a son you can pass the problem to. He's trying to lead me to a conversation I'm definitely not up to having right now. So, I smoothly dismiss him with a wry farewell. I'm glad to shoulder your burdens, Dad. Stay safe. Dad doesn't miss a beat. We're talking about this sooner or later. For now, I see a bottle of Jack Daniels with my name on it. Goodbye. He thankfully drops the call. Sabrina and my dad are the most troublesome people to deal with at this point in my life. The only thing that will make this day even more worrisome is if I somehow meet Willow Andrews again. The feisty Willow. I admit she's been plaguing my mind lately. I chalk it up to the fact that she's probably the third most bothersome person next to Sabrina. Definitely the first when it comes to having the best self-confident smile, though. When that train of thought spirals down to something I definitely shouldn't be entertaining, I shake my head with fervor. I really need to get coffee, preferably something not made from our company's horrible coffee maker. With that in mind, I walk out of my office. By chance, Sabrina holds the elevator door open for me and waits patiently for me to enter. Having lunch? She asks conversationally as I approach. No, I'm visiting the hotel. I shrug casually. I'll check it out and grab some coffee on the way. And maybe buy me a pastry to go with it. I've been craving for a certain red velvet cupcake for several days now, after all.
Chapter 6. Willow. Ben and I are sitting at an empty table. He's having a rather animated discussion with his boyfriend on the phone while I'm doing a little accounting for the whole week. Just like yesterday, the bakery is practically empty. The sales reflect this predicament. Quiet morning, huh? Ben observes after he drops his phone call. It's a merciful way of saying that the only customer we had for the past few weeks are some of the regulars. Thankfully, the regulars' splurging tendencies keep the shop afloat for now, but it won't be enough to cover the increased rent. In short, we're doomed. I groan, rubbing my temples to ease the headache that's been plaguing me since I met Dom Grenier. Unless we come up with something that'll have customers lining up, I don't think we can afford rent. That's going to be a challenge, Chief. Lots of new pastry shops opened along the main street. If you want more traffic, we're going to have to relocate to the busier part of the neighborhood. Don't give me that. People go out of their way if they really want something. I just need to come up with a way to incentivize them. Ben shrugs and starts fiddling with his phone. Don't ask me. I studied fine arts at university. Just then, Danny walks into the bakery like she owns the place. Danny was my roommate in university. Through a shared love for ramen and pastries, we somehow became inseparable enough to remain close long after we graduated. She raises her sunglasses and gives us a wink. How are my favorite pastry buddies? Bored? Busy? Ben and I reply at the same time. I squint at him in irritation for not even bothering to hide our little problem. But I suppose it doesn't take a genius to know that the bakery is so empty, it may as well be called a graveyard. An idea hits me. Wait, Danny, You work for an ad agency in Manhattan, right? Account executive Danny Benson, at your service. She gracefully bows, not missing a beat. I need a little help here. I gesture around the empty store. Recently, some douche got ownership of the hotel and decided to increase my rent to chase me off. Obviously, I won't give him the satisfaction, but I need to come up with an idea to grab new customers, or I won't be able to afford the rent for the next 2 months. Isn't that kind of an exaggeration? Danny, who always tries to see the good in someone, turns to Ben for confirmation. Who's the guy anyway? The previous owner's son? He shrugs in reply. I just man the counters. No, it's some guy named Dom Grenier. I roll my eyes. To my surprise, Danny's mouth drops open in shock. No way. You don't mean Dominic Grenier, the CEO of Essex Hotels, right? Excitement radiates from Danny as she takes both my shoulders. Black hair, perpetual 5 o'clock shadow. Yeah, that sounds about right. Deep hazel eyes that hide the shadow of his past. I cringe at Danny's sudden eloquence. If you mean he broods like a 15-year-old emo kid, yes. Ruggedly handsome with a chiseled jawline? Come to think of it, he does have the entire dangerously handsome man allure down to a T. I say this objectively, of course. It's not like I take the time to think about his looks or something. My face feels hot. Why it feels hot in the middle of spring, I have no idea. I didn't notice. I shrug her off, using more strength than I intend. She flumps on a chair. For a minute, I worry that I might have hurt her, but she just looks at me in wonder. Willow, you must tell me if he's hotter in person than in photos. Danny, I scowl. That's not the point. Danny gets the message, shaking her head as if it'll return her rational thought. You're right, she grins sheepishly. Do you know if he's still single? The withering glare I send her way effectively shuts her up. Danny clears her throat. What I meant to say is that you should totally come up with new items on the menu. She recovers her composure surprisingly quickly. I love the current one, I really do. But you're lacking options that will appeal to a younger crowd. I suppose that's true. The current menu is still the same as the one my mother came up with. That makes sense. I nod. A lot of bakeries today boast their unique flavors or appearance. Maybe I could do something similar. Matcha is surprisingly popular. Bacon is a classic. And pomegranate should appeal to the ones with exotic tastes. You can use Pinterest to grab inspiration for designs too. Ben cuts in, showing me his phone. The app shows pictures of bread, cakes, and donuts. All of them are uniquely designed. I don't think I can do something like this, Ben. Art is not my forte. That's why you have me, isn't it? Danny leans in to admire the photos as well. These looks good. If you make your menu Instagram-worthy, people are going to flock here in no time. In our intense discussion, we barely notice the door opening until the customer clears his throat. To my surprise, Dom is staring at us with something like gleeful mockery. Am I disturbing your work? He asks. Yes. Danny lightly slaps me on the shoulder, looking already smitten with the man. Don't be rude, Willow. Is he a friend? She's not fooling anyone with her attempt at being clueless. I snort. No, that's Dominic Grenier, the new owner of the hotel. Dom, meet Danny. She's a fan. I'm not, Danny protests weakly, blushing to the roots of her hair. I point to Ben. That's Ben, my employee. Ben gives him a little wave, discreetly eyeing Dom from head to toe. Dom gives them a friendly smile, one that he's never given me before, then turns to me. If you're not too busy, he drawls, his tone dripping with sarcasm. I'd like to have a cup of coffee, please. My blood pressure shoots up immediately. Of course. I try to imagine him as a normal customer, but with my annoyance, I can't give him anything above a grimace. What will you have? I try to stay casual as I walk towards the counter. I'll have a frappuccino to go. Frappuccino? I raise an eyebrow at the choice. He doesn't seem like a frap kind of guy. How surprisingly vanilla of you. A slow smirk form on his face, his voice dropping a few octaves. I make up for it in other things. A drop of sweat trickles down my back. Damn it. Is the air conditioner acting up today of all times? I spot Ben and Danny watching us with thinly veiled interest. When Dom sees that he no longer holds my attention, he turns back to the direction I'm looking. Ben and Danny abruptly start laughing together, like they've been conversing all along. I quickly make his coffee, making more noise than I intend. The faster I get this jerk out the way, the sooner I can begin working. He gives me an arrogant smirk when I hand him his coffee. I pointedly ignore how hot his hands feel when I brush against them. He confidently walks out with his frappuccino, giving Ben and Danny a polite nod on the way. When he's completely out of the vicinity, Danny waggles her eyebrows at me suggestively. I don't know about you, Willow, but that's gotta be the most impressive bewind I've ever seen. You have no idea.
Chapter 7. Dom. It's been a week since I dropped by Sweet Caroline Bakery. I hate to admit it, but they make damn good coffee despite the lack of an efficient espresso machine. After a long morning of finalizing the renovation plans for the hotel, I'm craving my caffeine fix. When I walk out of the hotel, the sight of a long queue outside Sweet Caroline Bakery surprises me. The people in line are younger than the usual regulars I see dropping by the bakery. Their faces show excitement more than impatience, and from what I observed, most of them came in groups. Out of curiosity, I politely tap the shoulder of the last person in line. "Hello, can I ask what the long line is for?" The young man, probably college-aged, ruefully shakes his head. "I don't know, man. My girlfriend specifically had me line up for this bakery's donuts. She said something about them being a hype on Instagram." He rolls his eyes, apparently not a fan of the social media fanfare. "My condolences," I lightly joke, receiving a snort in reply. Say, is this line specifically for the donuts? I'm hoping to get coffee, but this line is too long for me. Nah, you can just go into the shop. As far as I know, they separated the line for the donuts since it's taking so long. I clap him in the back gratefully. Got it, thanks, man. The bakery is just as packed as on the outside, with many people either waiting for their takeout or dining in. Ben, Willow's assistant, is solely manning the counter. The owner herself is not in immediate sight, which is unsurprising given how busy the staff looks. I recognize the cashier as Danny, the one who is far too obvious in her ogling. Her eyes widen like saucers when she spots me. She immediately hollers me over to the cashier. Hey, Mr. Grenier, what can I get you today? Frappuccino, she mutters a tad too loudly. Never would have expected that. Excuse me? What I meant to say is, we have a promo on macchiato today. If you buy one, you get a donut of your choice for free. She pauses, grinning knowingly. Courtesy of our very own Willow Andrews, of course. If you're a fan of her frappuccino, I'm sure you're going to love this. I'm not a fan of her coffee in particular, I deny. Sure you aren't. Danny nods, although she does not look convinced. So, what donut will you have with that? Her inquiry allows me the chance to observe the display case. It's filled with a variety of donuts that I've never seen before. The designs surprisingly look professional, and I wonder how Willow can hire a proficient pastry designer if she's already having trouble with rent. Now I understand why so many young people are flocking to this bakery. That one. I point at the most appealing one. Danny's grin is too mischievous for my liking. Okay, that'll be $4.99. Your order will probably take too long. Why don't you sit over there while you wait? She points toward an empty seat near the corner of the bakery. Not wanting to idly stand near the crowd, I head to the aforementioned seat. It's quite reclusive, but at least it's not near the noisy queue. I also realize that it's close to the kitchen, where Willow is apparently having a conversation with someone. So, I heard that this place was run by your mother, Caroline. I have to say that it's impressive how you're able to quickly take the bakery to new heights. I just built upon her hard work. Willow smiles humbly as she makes coffee. My mother loves this bakery with all her heart. That's why I made it my goal to fulfill her dream of making Sweet Caroline Bakery successful. I'm sorry. It must be difficult to talk about her this early. It's only been 2 months, right? From Willow's silence, I'm assuming that the interviewer is correct. Knowing the whole picture, I suddenly feel like a huge jerk. Willow just lost her mother. Since then, she probably has to put aside her grief to keep this place functioning. I unknowingly put her under much stress, but she has never used that card against me. What a woman. I was barely functional when my own mother died, but Willow Andrews can pull herself by the bootstraps to focus on what's important. I wish I had her spirit back then. It's funny, our situations almost makes us seem like kindred spirits. After the short silence, the woman resumes questioning Willow about her future plans for the bakery. Apparently, this interview is for a well-known food blog. It has only been a week, but Willow can combat the ridiculous problem I sent her way. My pride should be shattering to pieces right now, but I feel nothing but grudging respect for the woman. When the blogger leaves, I approach Willow. Her face contorts to mild annoyance when she sees me slide into the coffee counter, but ultimately decides to pointedly ignore me. Is that my coffee? I point at the macchiato she's making. She rolls her eyes. You're not the only one who orders coffee here, Grenier. Really? How many Doms ordered a macchiato today? I stare at the rim of the cup, hoping she'll follow my gaze. Willow's eyes visibly widens when she sees my name on it, but stubbornly refuses to admit defeat. What? You want a prize or something? I suppose I could make do with a donut. From what I hear, they're the talk of the town. Willow stands up straighter, obviously proud of her accomplishments. Well, I do owe you. Oh, really? Yep. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't need to come up with new strategies to grab new customers. She hands me a plate of a donut, one topped with a piece of crisp bacon and whiskey glaze. Congratulations, you earned yourself a donut. Glad to see you can rise to the challenge. I tentatively take a bite from the donut. Surprisingly, the bacon just melts on my tongue. The additional sweetness from the glaze is also the right amount to complement the taste of bacon. It's actually not bad. Willow tilts her head smugly. So, how is it? Passable. Passable, she echoes, grinning in amusement. Her eyes crinkle a bit as she smiles. Somehow, it's even more beautiful to look at closely. I didn't know you're enthusiastic for an average donut. She laughs, pointing at my face. You even have glaze all over your mouth. Here. She leans on the counter so she could prove her point. From the short distance, she smells as sweet as the glaze on the donut. I feel so drawn to it that I unconsciously move closer. Willow's gaze darkens as she registers our close proximity. Danny walks in on us with a cheery smile. Here's your donut, Mr. Grenier. Oh, my bad. She looks at the two of us with barely concealed excitement. Am I interrupting something? Willow withdraws quickly. No. Her quick denial is honestly a little offending, but the sight of her being so flustered makes up for it. I can't help but fuel the flames. Willow's just wiping me clean. Willow's outraged expression is just priceless.
I hope you're enjoying this audiobook by Vic Savon. If you want to keep hearing more audiobooks, then please hit that subscribe button and like the video. It may seem insignificant, but the more people that subscribe, the easier it is to produce more audiobooks in the future. So please help us out and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for listening, and now back to your book.
Chapter 8. Willow. It takes another week for the donut fad to die down, but Sweet Caroline Bakery never went back to its idle days. Ben has been complaining about his sore back throughout the week, and I even have to call Danny in for help a bit more often. I really should hire more employees soon. I love that woman like my own sister, but it's getting annoying how she talks about Dom Grenier nonstop. Look, Danny, if you really want the guy, just shut up and put your money where your mouth is. I challenge her. Jump the guy the next time he comes in for a frappuccino. That wouldn't do at all. Danny sighs as she leans on the counter. It won't be as fun if I'm not admiring him from afar. Besides, it looks like I'm not the one he has the hots for. She waggles her eyebrows at me suggestively. I roll my eyes at her. You should get your eyes checked. That man only comes here to mock me. You must be exaggerating. Walt, who's here to say goodbye, chimes in. Dominic may be rough around the edges, but he's a decent sort overall. If you actually sat down and talked, I'm sure you'll find common ground immediately. I snort. Walt, with all due respect, it'll be a cold day in hell before that happens. Just humor an old man, will you? He calmly takes a sip from his coffee. The two of you are very business-minded people, and every businessman wants to make a profit. If you appeal to that side of him, you can kiss your problems with the rent goodbye. Think about it, and try not to let your temper get the better of you when you talk to him. It's not my fault that Dom is such a jerk. If he really wants to play nice, then it's up to him to fix his attitude. He won't, though, because he's got his head so far up his butt that he doesn't see anything else but his agenda. Besides, he obviously looks down on Sweet Caroline Bakery. It's an unspoken challenge for me to wipe that smug grin off his handsome mug. An image of Dom eating the bacon donut I gave him forms in my mind. I hate to admit it, but I don't think I've ever seen a man who can pull off a sexy look while eating dessert of all things. The way he bites the tip of the bacon while maintaining eye contact with me almost makes me overheat. Danny snaps a finger in front of me, snapping me out of my trance. Earth to Willow, she calls me. We're having a conversation here. I'm sure Willow is just tired. Walt puts down his empty coffee cup and gives me a patient smile. I'm leaving now. I'm relieved that the bakery's business is booming. I wish you good luck, Willow. Please consider what I said just now. I nod just to appease him. All right. Thank you for everything, Walt. His wrinkly smile reminds me of my grandfather. Before I could savor the moment, however, a series of loud banging disturbs the peace. When I observe how the noise upset my customers, angry frown forms on my face. Oh dear. Walt shakes his head as he comes to the realization that the noise is coming from the hotel. Even Walt himself has no justification for Dom's recent sabotage. It's not enough for him to increase my rent, so he's resorting to dirtier tactics just to chase me away. Ha! Two can play that game, Grenier. I march my way all the way to the hotel, ignoring the worried glances Danny and Walt send my way. Both of them know me enough to know that they can't stop me from giving Dominic Grenier a piece of my mind. My momentum is ruined when I nearly crash into the man as I enter the lobby. He grabs both of my shoulders to steady me. In my anger, I shrug him away violently. You! I point an accusing finger at him. If this is one of your dirty tricks, I swear to God. Let's take this somewhere private. He cuts me off and nods towards the hallway. Follow me. The hallway is full of construction workers, fixing up pipes and old walls. A couple of designers are discussing the best choice for wallpaper as we round in the corner. Apparently all that noise is from the renovation of the hotel. Dom leads me to Walt's old office. Unlike the hallways, it seems the renovation for his office is complete. He has replaced Walt's old rustic wallpaper with mahogany. The blinds allow for minimal light to pass through the window, giving the office a somber look. Now that you're free to make a scene, Dom crosses his arms as he leans on his desk. What seems to be the problem? My anger returns tenfold. Don't play dumb. I knew you're an arrogant jerk, but I never would have thought that you'd sink this low. What? The noise. Don't tell me you didn't plan this to scare off my customers, I hiss. Don't make it too obvious that you're intimidated by my business. It's unbecoming of you. You do know that renovations make a lot of noise, right? He raises an incredulous eyebrow. Do you expect me to let this place fall apart just for your little bakery? So you admit it then? You're looking down on my bakery like the arrogant jerk you are. I only meant that I will prioritize my own business first. The nerve of him. I march over to him and start poking him in the chest. That doesn't mean you shouldn't consider the other businesses around your hotel. You're not the only one using this lot. Stop it, he growls, grasping my hand. Have you considered maybe putting on music to block the noise? Or do you hate me that much that you immediately zeroed in on me, despite the situation being out of my control? Who wouldn't hate someone like you? Now that the floodgates are open, I can't stop my ranting. An arrogant jerk who prances around like you own the place. I see the mocking in your eyes every time you come by the shop. For God's sake, woman, what is this really all about? Your unbearable attitude, of course. Ever since I met you, I had nothing but misfortune and— Shut up! Don't you dare. I still have plenty of things to say. With every exchange of heated words, I didn't realize how close we are until Dom grabs the back of my head and crashes his lips to mine. There's more biting than actual kissing, but the moment we cross the line, there's no going back. He harshly sucks my bottom lip, making me moan. He takes the opportunity to push his tongue inside and pull me closer. I instantly forget what our argument is about. All I can focus on now is the feel of his lips against mine, his searing touch, and his masculine musk slowly overtaking my senses.
Chapter 9. Dom. Her lips are hot against my own. She's surprisingly enthusiastic for someone who was about to bite my head off earlier. With her iron grip on my arms, I easily lift her up and push her onto my desk. She gasps at the sudden contact with the hard surface of my desk. Without missing a beat, I slip my tongue into the warmth of her mouth. She obligingly tilts her head upwards, making it easier for me to explore as much as I want. Every inch of my skin feels on fire when Willow hooks her legs on my back, pulling me closer. It's like something in me snaps. I press harder against her, earning a mule that makes my suit feel stuffy. Willow's hands tentatively reach up to my hair, her touch soft in contrast to our almost frenzied kissing. She strokes my hair gently, but the feel of her fingernails raking my scalp is enough to spice things up. I bite her lower lip roughly in retaliation. Unwilling to be defeated so easily, Willow strikes back by pulling at my hair. Willow kisses me like she's searching for something. There's a taste of desperation every time her tongue jostles with mine. If I'm being honest, she's probably feeling the same thing as me. Our messy first meeting, subsequent arguments, and everything in between disappear as lust takes over. She's breaking the chains of my control with every stroke of her tongue and every touch of her hands. It's good to know that I'm not the only one who just lost himself like some hormone-driven teenager. Willow's skin is hot as I caress it. I can't help but squeeze her soft hips. Willow instinctively arches her back in response. Through the thin fabric of her dress, I feel the evidence of her arousal when my hardening member brushes lightly against her crotch. For a moment, all I can think of is, screw it. Maybe I should take her right here, right now, on my desk. So, what if my office isn't soundproofed yet? Let them all hear how hot she moans when she's putting her mouth to better use. Then, voices outside the door snap both of us out of our lust-ridden trance. We quickly break apart like we've been burned. My palms are flat against the desk on either side of her head for support. Willow stares up at me, breathing small, heavy pants. Her lips are swollen from the intensity of our kiss, her dark hair disheveled and spread on the surface. She looks thoroughly screwed. I have to force my body not to give in to the magnetism that pulls my body towards hers. Her eyes widen like saucers when what we've done finally sinks in. She sits upright quickly, trying to compose herself by brushing her hair with her hands. She fails miserably in her task. No matter how much she tries, there's no getting rid of her moist and puffy lips. It takes all my self-control to swallow down the hunger I feel for her at this moment. Just what the hell did this woman do to me? As a well-known CEO, I've never had a shortage of women lining up to even spend a moment in my presence, but none has ever had the effect Willow has on me. For some reason, Willow can reduce me to an insatiable, horny teenage boy. "What the hell was that about?" Willow harshly whispers, her voice still sore from our heated kiss earlier. Her breathlessness makes me want to abandon my self-preservation and kiss her again. Damn it, Dominic. Get yourself together. I curse myself inwardly. You're too noisy, I reply. My eyes are still drawn to her lips. Willow quickly catches on where I'm looking and subconsciously licks her lips. If only lust hasn't overtaken my rational mind, this gesture might come off as a sign of nervousness. However, all I could think about is how alluring this simple act is. It feels like all the blood in my body rushes straight to my core. "So, you'll kiss anyone who makes the slightest bit of noise?" She snorts. It's ironic how all this happened because of the noise from the renovation. From Willow's wry look, the irony is not lost on her either. "You're particularly annoying me, that's why." She rolls her eyes at me and jumps away from my desk. "Listen here." She stabs a finger at my chest. "This thing never happened. I think we're in agreement that we don't like each other, and I don't want any other complications." Her proposition makes sense, at least now that my head is clearer. We're frequently at each other's throats, and Willow has never hidden her hostility to me. Sharing a kiss in the middle of a heated moment won't change that. That makes sense, I agree, absent-mindedly nodding to her demands. Despite that, the memory of her lips molding against mine is now permanently engraved in my mind. The moment I crashed my lips on hers, I can't control the building desire I have for her. Willow looks at me strangely. "That's good. I'm going back. Do me a favor and tell your employees to lessen the noise." Before I can get another word in, she storms out of my office. She's being so blasé about this whole thing that, for a moment, a bitter thought that maybe she's used to these kinds of casual relationships enters my mind. I don't have the right to be this irritated, though. I collapse on my chair, sighing. My member is still half hard from arousal, and not even Willow's cold attitude can blow it off. I'm the CEO of Essex Hotels. If I let my member think for myself, I will never live up to my father's expectations. Willow Andrews is a liability. I need to remember that if I want to succeed. My member twitches at the thought of Willow's cool gaze. Damn, I'm in deep trouble.
Chapter 10. Willow. I'll have a dozen crispy bacon donuts, 2 matcha chocolate bread, 6 macchiato, and another 6 strawberry frappuccino, please. Right away, ma'am. Tessa tries her best to keep her composure, but it's obvious that she's not used to keeping track of such a long order. She's one of my newest part-time employees that I hired after the business has picked up. These days, more people have been lining up at Sweet Caroline Bakery that Ben and I aren't enough to serve all the customers properly. As soon as the numbers allowed it, I set up an ad online for another cashier and a baker. Tessa is a fast learner and hardworking to boot. What she lacks in experience, she makes up for with eagerness. To give her a learning experience, I smoothly inserted myself into the conversation. "I'm sorry, ma'am. Can you repeat that again?" I request humbly. Thankfully, the customer is understanding enough and repeats her order slowly. In a display of initiative, Tessa doesn't wait for my instruction and punches the customer's order as she narrates. After she's done with her orders, Danny unexpectedly replaces her. "Danny? You could have just called." Danny grins sheepishly. I wanted to know how it feels like to be a real customer. It's not like I'm giving you stuff for free. I give her a fond smile. You're one of the people who kept this place afloat with your love for donuts. Speaking of which, I'll have a dozen of them to go. You pick the flavor. I want to try them all. I beckon her with a wave. Come here then. I have a couple of new flavors I'm still experimenting with. I turn to Tessa and inquire, are you going to be all right here? I think I'm fine now, Miss Willow. Thank you, she assures me with a look of fierce determination on her face. Danny and I walk into the kitchen for a little privacy. It's a small room separated from the outside with only glass, so I can still see the situation outside if something needs my attention. Everyone's talking about your bakery. Danny beams as she bumps her shoulder to mine. It's honestly awesome. I get to brag in the office about having a friend who can get me an endless supply of donuts. I roll my eyes at her antics. It's not like I could have done it without your help. Don't sell yourself short. Danny gestures towards the long line of customers, waiting for their orders to be taken. Look at them. If Aunt Caroline could see this now, she'd be so proud of you. Will she? Doubt besets me. My mother established this bakery with her sweat and blood. Is she really going to be happy that her daughter basically changed everything she worked hard on for a marketing scheme? Danny gives me an understanding look. She can be quite perceptive when you least expect it. Leaning her head on my shoulder, she rubs my arms encouragingly. Of course, every mother wants her child to have a successful life. In a show of rare wisdom, Danny attempts to reassure me further. Besides, if you didn't do this, and this bakery is forced to close, your mom will be rolling on her grave in anger. As if on cue, the biggest threat to this bakery's existence enters the shop. He's far too casual for someone who tried to sabotage an honest woman's business and made out with her afterward. The recollection of it makes my heart beat fast. He takes a seat at the coffee counter, discussing something with Ben while waiting for his order. Judging from the ingredients Ben is using, he's probably having macchiato for today. When he gets his coffee, I quickly avert my eyes from his lips when he takes a drink from his cup. Unfortunately, I'm not subtle enough to get past Danny's piercing eyes. You're staring at him. I'm not, I protest hotly. My defensiveness only makes Danny's teasing grin wider. You're only making yourself more obvious when you deny it this eagerly. Danny rolls her eyes and gestures towards the man. Look at that fine specimen right there. No one can deny he's a feast for the eyes. Except me, I object weakly. That's why I don't believe you. Danny huffs haughtily. You're not exactly subtle when your eyes keep darting towards him the moment he walked in the room. The thing is, this is the first time I've seen him since the kiss. Every time someone even mentions his name, my mind involuntarily remembers how his lips feel against mine. The thing he does with his tongue, it can make even the most experienced woman blush to the roots of her hair. He's not doing me any favors by sitting here without a care for the world. Dom casually takes a sip of his coffee, meeting my eyes across the rim. Even from a distance, his gaze carries the same intensity as before. There's no doubt he's recalling the same thing as I am. At this point, I'm starting to wonder if I should just sleep with him and get it over with. If I get him out of my system, maybe I won't be having butterflies in my stomach like a lovelorn schoolgirl. Danny snaps her fingers in front of me, breaking our little eye contact. Is it just me, or is it getting hot in here? What? Oh, don't give me that clueless look. Danny sighs exasperatedly. You're basically stripping the man with your eyes. If I didn't know better, I'd say you're probably screwing on the regular already. We're not. But you want to, right? Sometimes it's scary how well Danny knows me. My phone suddenly rings, mercifully saving me from an interrogation. Danny looks dissatisfied by the interruption, but gives me space nonetheless. Hello. Good morning. Is this Miss Willow Andrews? proprietor of Sweet Caroline Bakery. A voice of a seemingly old woman greets. Yes, how can I help you? This is Hannah Williams, a producer from the Greenpoint Morning Show. We're hoping you can drop by for a talk show segment, maybe even do a demo on air. Oh, that's amazing. My eyes meet Danny's, and I try to communicate how excited I am. She moves closer to me, easily infected by my enthusiasm. I'd be honored to come. Fantastic. I'm a fan of your bacon donuts, by the way. I'll send over the details by email later. Have a good day, Miss Andrews. You as well, I say hurriedly before the call drops. What was that? Danny interrogates. From the look on your face, I'm assuming it's good news. Better than good news? I've been invited to come and do a demo on air. Damn. Sweet Caroline Bakery will be on TV. I'm so happy for you. Danny congratulates me, hugging me in delight. In our little celebration, I fail to notice how Dom's eyes follow me from behind.
Chapter 11. Dom. What was that? I hear Willow's friend ask her after she gets off the call. From the look on your face, I'm assuming it's good news? I'm talking to Ben about some of his new ideas that they used for the bakery, but I've been keeping an eye and ear trained on Willow. For the past few days, I've frequented Sweet Caroline Bakery just to see her. It's annoying, but I can't help myself. Willow will not talk or even look at me, but Ben does. They haven't turned me away, too, so I take everything's not ruined between us yet. Ben has been telling me that the bakery is doing well. I noticed they also hired some new people and even have new equipment in the shop. Ben talks about it excitedly, but somehow I'm wishing it's Willow sharing it with me. Better than good news. I've been invited to come and do a demo on air. Damn, Sweet Caroline Bakery will be on TV, she tells her friend with a huge smile on her face. They do that little shrieking thing girls do before breaking into giggles. I raise my brow at Ben. She's going to a talk show? He turns to look at the two giggling women. Seems like it. I gotta go. Seems like she just got some good news. We exchange nods and Ben walks over to Willow and her friend. I watch them as I finish my coffee. They're talking animatedly and I can't help the twitch in my lips. Willow is obviously ecstatic with this development and I wish I can share her happiness. After finishing my coffee, I stand up and leave the shop, but not without glancing at Willow's direction first. She catches my eye and I give her a small wave. She looks away and doesn't return the gesture. She must still feel awkward over the kiss. It has been a few days since that happened and Willow is still acting like it didn't. I know she told me to forget about it, but it's not like I haven't tried. It's not just something I can forget just like that. Shoving my hands down my pockets, I walk back to the hotel. If Willow is actually invited to a talk show, that will be good publicity for her shop. Sweet Caroline Bakery has more customers now than when I first came in, and most of them are younger people looking for something new. It makes me wonder if having them relocate from the hotel is actually a good idea. With its newfound popularity, wouldn't it be better if it stays in Bedford? I know it will not fit the concept I want for Bedford, but it might draw in more people to the hotel. Having the bakery in the hotel might give it a more approachable vibe. That wasn't part of my initial plans for the hotel, but I've seen how approachability also plays a part in the business. Besides, younger people with their social media also provide free publicity. To be honest, I have also considered the effect of keeping it where it is for Willow. I want to make Willow happy, but at the same time I have the hotel to think about. Initially, with their lack of sales, it seems like kicking them out is the way to go. But that's not the case now. And I've gotten to know Willow as well. If Sweet Caroline Bakery continues to grow its status, then that would be beneficial for the hotel too. Smiling to myself, I decide I need to seriously consider the possibility of keeping Sweet Caroline Bakery in the hotel. Right now, I can't even think of any disadvantages of keeping it aside from my initial plan for the hotel. "Oh, Mr. Grenier!" A voice snaps me out of my thoughts. I look up and it's Sabrina. She has some papers in her hands. She crosses the lobby toward me. I've been looking everywhere for you. Here, I need you to sign this." She hands me the paper and I look down at it, skimming the details. "Don't worry, I've read it for you." She hands me a pen. "You just have to sign." I still continue skimming the details of the document before signing it. My father taught me to always read before signing anything. It's not that I don't trust Sabrina, but I'm still making sure I don't make any mistakes this early in my position. "Where have you been, anyway?" She tucks the papers back after I hand it to her. "I was asking the people here, and no one has seen you." "Oh, right." I start walking again. She follows a few steps behind me. "I've been in the bakery." "The bakery? You mean the one that still refuses to leave?" I sigh at the reminder. "Yeah, that's the one." "Why would you be there?" "Ah, I get it." She snaps her fingers and rolls her eyes. "You're trying to keep your enemies closer, right?" I almost stumble on my tracks. Sabrina continues to joke about keeping my enemies close, and that she never thought of me to be that type. I can barely hear her, though. Is that what I'm doing? No. I haven't thought of Willow and the bakery as enemies. I don't think I ever thought of that even during the first time I've seen her. I might have wanted them out of the hotel in the beginning, but I never thought of them as actual enemies. Sure, we might be on opposing sides, but I've come to know Willow and the bakery story. So no, I don't think of Willow as an enemy anymore, but looking at Sabrina's triumphant grin, I decide not to tell her that. I know Sabrina, and she's a ruthless person with regards to business. That's partly why I hired her as my chief of staff. But there are some things she doesn't need to know. Like Willow. I know it wouldn't be something she'll understand. "Sabrina," I cut her off. "I will make this hotel a success, no matter what it takes." She blinks several times, taken aback by my words. "Of course, Dom. No one doubts that." "Good," I grit out. "Remember that."
Chapter 12. Willow. I hear there's a storm coming. Ben comes in carrying the fresh batch of packaged cookies and arranging them in the woven basket by the counter. "Do you think we should close early today?" "You can go early," I mutter, not looking up from my notebook. I've been looking for new recipes that we can do for the shop. There are a lot of new things we can still try to gather more customers. I only live nearby anyway. "Are you sure?" He raises a brow at me. I finally look at Ben. "Yeah, I'm sure. I can watch the shop and close up too. Wouldn't want to get your perm wet now, would you?" He holds up one finger as he starts removing his apron. "Hey, this is natural." I snort and return to my research. There are still a few people by the shop, enjoying their afternoon coffee and pastries. The forecast has warned that the storm will landfall by afternoon, but it's still light outside, so it may be for a few hours. Ben comes out from the staff room a while later, carrying his bag. "I'm going now." "Okay." I wave at him, putting away my notebook and laptop. He scrunches his face. "You should go home soon, too. I hear it's a pretty strong one." I will. I have my umbrella and a raincoat in the back. I'll be fine," I tell him. "Now get out of here before the rain starts." Ben says his goodbye and leaves the shop. The few remaining customers also start to leave, waving their thanks and praises for the pastries. When the last ones clear up, I begin cleaning up for closing. I don't realize the sky has turned really dark until I hear the thunder rumble, jolting me from my cleaning. I look outside the shop window, just in time for the rain to start pouring down. I quickly finish cleaning and close the shop. It looks like I'll have to run in the rain to get to the subway. Wearing the yellow raincoat I grabbed from the back, I open my umbrella and start down the sidewalk. It doesn't even take me a few steps before I feel the water dripping down my arms and back. The wind keeps blowing rain at me, drenching me thoroughly despite my coat and umbrella. I won't be surprised if the only thing that'll remain dry would be my underwear. A loud horn surprises me, and I jump at the sound. Turning to my side, I notice a familiar vehicle. The window rolls down, and I see Dom's face. He's saying something, but I can't hear him over the rain. "What?" I yell back. "I said get in the car," he shouts, hand beckoning me urgently. "I'll take you home. It's pouring out here." "Yeah, I know. I'm standing in the rain," I retort. "And thanks for the offer, but I'll just take the subway." "Are you insane? You're not walking to the subway. It's dangerous. Get in the car, I'll take you home." I start to decline again, but Dom cuts me off. "Willow, honestly, get in the car. This is a storm and it's dangerous for you to even walk to the subway. Come on." A strong gust of wind blows my way and catches the umbrella. It slips out of my grasp. I stare at the yellow silhouette stumbling around the dark road. I inhale heavily, swallow my pride, and open the car door. "Sorry about your car seat," I tell Dom as soon as I close the door. He shakes his head and starts the car. "Don't worry about it." He asks for my address and I give it to him. We drive in silence. Truthfully, I don't have the confidence to talk to Dom about anything now that I look like this, and I'm dripping on his expensive car. After the painfully awkward drive, we finally arrive at my house. I peer out of the window. The rain has gotten stronger and shows no signs of stopping anytime soon. Swallowing my embarrassment, I turn to Dom. "Do you want to come in for a bit? I don't think you should drive in this kind of weather." He stares at me for a moment, and I look away in embarrassment, suddenly wanting to take back my offer. But then he licks his lips and nods. We can make a run for it. We do make a run for it. The door is only a few yards away, yet the rain still soaks Dom. I hurriedly open my front door and wave him inside. Not wanting to make a puddle in the hall, I lead him to the living room. "I'll just grab some towels for you," I say, taking off my raincoat and running to the hall closet. I grab a handful of towel for him and the floor. I return to the living room and find Dom standing by the pictures of my mom. There's a puddle around him, but he's watching the frames by the fake fireplace intently. I take a moment to watch him. How can a man like this, drenched and clothes soaking, still look so good? It's almost unfair how he can still make my insides clench even when looking like this. Maybe it's just been so long for me that I'm lusting after the guy who wants to basically kick us out now. "That's my mom." I cross over to him and hand him the towel. He takes it and starts drying himself. "She's, the one who owned Sweet Caroline before." Dom hums. "Was it cancer?" "Lungs." I nod, swallowing the emotion welling up. "She was a good person. Everyone I know liked her." "She looks like a nice lady," he comments, drying his hair. "My mom's also gone. She died when I was in high school." "What was it?" "Car accident." I nod, understanding the loss of a mother. Mom had been gone for a few months, and I'm still not used to it. I know I shouldn't compare losses, but I don't think I could have handled it if Mom died while I was in high school. "I think I have some large shirts I could lend you," I say, breaking the silence. I turn to get it, but my foot slips on the invisible puddle, and before I know it, I'm falling back. "Willow!" I close my eyes and brace myself for the impact and the embarrassment, but the floor never hits my back. Instead, I fall over, heat and man. "I'm sorry," I whisper, opening my eyes and meeting Dom's intense ones. He grunts but doesn't pull away. I'm sprawled on top of him in the couch, and we're probably soaking it too, but at this moment, I can't think of anything else but the warmth of his skin seeping through mine. "Willow," he mutters, hand crawling up to cut my jaw. I don't know who moved first, but then we're suddenly kissing. Dom's mouth moves beneath mine tentatively at first, silently telling me to take the lead on this. I move my arms and brace myself above him. Licking the seam of his lips, he parts his mouth and I slip my tongue inside. I feel the groan from the back of his throat when our tongues finally meet. Dom tastes like mint, man, and warmth, and I'm lost in his kisses. It isn't long before he starts taking over the kiss, fingers tangling with my hair, moving up my back and pulling me close. He pulls away abruptly. His eyes search mine. Are you sure? My heart is beating so fast I can hear it drumming. The rain may have soaked me to the bone, but Dom is replacing it with his warmth. I inhale sharply and tilt my head down to him. Just for tonight, I'll let myself. Kiss me.
Chapter 13. Dom, Willow is kissing me and I'm acting like a parched man and she's a jug of water. The last time we kissed, she wanted me to forget about it. I'm convinced that I can't forget that kiss, but there are many things I apparently have forgotten, like the sounds she makes, the tentative touches, and her taste. I search her eyes for any sort of sign that she wants me to stop, but I don't find anything. Her eyes are pools of molten lava filled with lust and desire. She leans down until I can feel her breath brushing my cheeks. Kiss me. I don't need to be told twice. Grabbing the back of her head, I arch my back and meet her lips with mine. Willow tastes sweeter than I remember. I have to be a bastard for doing this, but goddamn, I can't help myself when it comes to her. I hate to burst your bubble when things are just getting started, but this platform won't allow us to air the steamy content coming up in this chapter. If you want us to keep bringing you free audiobooks, we have to abide by their rules. Luckily for you, the unabridged version of every Vic Savon audiobook is available at VicSavonRomance.com. And with promo code VIXA40, you can get 40% off any digital product. Let's get back to the story.
Chapter 14. Willow. My smile hasn't faltered since I woke up this morning. Last night with Dom was amazing. It was beyond anything I could even imagine. We spent the night wrapped in each other. I lost count of how many times he made me come last night and early this morning. After we took things to the bedroom, I made him a small meal which turned into full-on sex on my kitchen. Did I imagine myself getting nailed in my kitchen ever? Not really. I'll never look at my counter the same way again. Dom is amazing, and it's not just the sex. He also made me laugh and was very sweet. I can't remember ever laughing and joking during sex with any of my partners in the past, but Dom was funny, and he made me feel safe. Oh, he was intense. But after he didn't make me feel awkward like I expected. When we woke up in the early hours, the rain had stopped. We had another 2 rounds of hot and heavy sex before Dom left for work. I walk into Sweet Caroline Bakery with a huge smile on my face. Using my own key, I let myself in. I can hear Ben rummaging in the back of the shop, no doubt getting ready to open. It's still early, and the city is just starting to wake up. The streets are still wet from the rain, but the forecast stated it'll be sunny today. Ben, I call, putting my stuff on the counter. I also start putting the chairs down to their places. You there? Yes, I'm here. Ben comes out from the staff room, tying his apron around his waist. Did you get home? He stops and a slow, wicked smile forms in his face. Oh, la la. He quickened his steps towards me. Ben looks at me up and down, nodding slightly, eyes squinting. He taps one finger on his lip. You got laid. He doesn't ask, but says it matter-of-factly. My neck immediately feels hot. I open my mouth to deny, but decide against it. So what? I shouldn't be embarrassed about it. Besides, I'm a grown woman. I can sleep with whoever I want to. Ben takes my silence as an affirmation, placing his hand on his chest with his eyes wide and a huge smile on his face. He squeals in delight and grabs both my shoulders. It's about time, Willow, he says, giving me a slight shake and hopping on his toes. I'm so happy for you. You finally ended your drought, and the sex must be good because you are glowing. I chuckle, my own smile widening. It was amazing. He made me come so much I was worried my bones turned to jelly. He makes a delighted sound. I walk behind the counter and grab my apron. Tying it around my waist, Ben leans over the counter opposite me, waiting expectantly. So tell me more. He grins mischievously. Who's the guy? I bite my lip, hesitating. I wasn't really sure if I should tell him it was Dom, but to be fair, I don't see anything wrong with what I did. I swallow and busy myself with arranging the jars on top of the counter. It's Dom. His eyes widen and he rears back, the shock on his face quickly replaced by confusion. Wait, Dom? Our Dom? Like the guy who comes here all the time, Dom? He doesn't come here all the time, I grumble. Yes, he does, and he always stares at you. Even when he's talking to me, one eye is always glued to you. Do you mean that, Dom? I nod. Oh, wow, Ben says. I'm not judging, don't get me wrong. I mean, good for you. Did you have fun? Please tell me you had fun. I did tell you I had so much fun my bones turned jelly, didn't I? Oh, testy. Ben scoffs at my reaction. Honestly, it's fine. I'm glad you had fun. Dom looks like the perfect guy to break your dry spell. But, how did that happen? Did he, drop by? Wait, did you do it here? I sigh, scratching my cheek. No and no. I closed up and he was passing by, I guess. He offered to drive me home since it was storming. We got wet. In more ways than one, I bet. And I offered for him to wait for the storm to pass in my house. I shoot Ben a stern look at his remark. Anyway, one thing led to the other and I slept with him. You have to be honest, is that bad? Bad what? I mean, considering what he's doing. Oh, honey, it's fine. You're a beautiful, powerful grown woman. You had fun, and Dom seems like a decent guy. I get that you must be wary of him, but that doesn't mean you did something bad. You enjoyed it. He probably enjoyed it too. You're both consenting adults. What's the harm? I exhale heavily and my shoulders slump. You're forgetting that he's trying to kick us out of here, I remind Ben. He pulls a face and waves his hand dismissively. Oh, pish posh. He rounds up to where I'm standing. You are a strong woman, and Dom probably needs someone like you with him. And besides, he might change his mind now that he's gotten a piece of that. He nudges my hips with his own and wiggles his behind. I laugh at his attempt of making me feel better. Don't think too much about it. He turns serious. If anything, you deserve this fun with all that's been happening. And with that, he disappears back to the kitchen. I sigh and turn over Ben's words. I mostly agree with him, but at the same time, I have the shop to think about too. Under different circumstances, I will not have to think over having any relationship with Dom. It isn't the case though, and there's nothing I can do about it. But that doesn't mean I can't continue seeing him. I can do at least that much. Nodding to myself, I move away from the counter. I can give myself time to think about us later. Right now, like what Ben has said, I'll just enjoy it. I'll open up now, I call to Ben, flipping over the sign hanging on the door.
Chapter 15. Dom. The sun is shining brightly over Manhattan, almost as if last night didn't happen. But I know full well it did. Grinning to myself, I peer over the documents I'm supposed to be reading over, but my mind is elsewhere. It seems I left it between Willow's sheets this morning. It has been a few hours since I left her tangled with her blanket. She was still sleeping after we had sex for the second time this morning when I left. I spent the night with her, albeit we didn't do much sleeping. Thinking back again at it for the 100th time since I left her house, it still feels surreal. I've been attracted to Willow since the first time I saw her, but now that I've gotten a taste, I want more. I don't think last night and this morning will be enough to satisfy me. Even right now, when we've only parted, I'm already craving her. The documents seem like a mountain I have to conquer now to get to her. Normally, I have no problem with my workload. I will do anything to be a good CEO after all. But now, my thoughts stray to Willow again and again. Sighing, I lean back and place the document I've been reading on my desk. Last night and early this morning was amazing. It was better than anything I fantasized. It also cleared my thoughts, and I'm now more confident on keeping Sweet Caroline Bakery where it is. And it wasn't just because I slept with Willow. The bakery can be an asset for Bedford Hotel if I keep it. It's continuing to earn a status as a hotspot for millennials with their ever-growing new pastries and good setting. It will be stupid and callous to let them go. Admittedly, a part of it still has something to do with Willow. I know how much the shop means to her, and I don't want to continue having this gap between us because of it. Keeping Sweet Caroline Bakery isn't a far-fetched idea. Willow and I will both benefit from it. I think that's a win-win on both parties, Essex Hotels included. A knock on my door snaps me out of my thoughts. Sabrina walks in, carrying an armful of more documents I probably have to read. I hold back a groan of frustration. "Where do you want me to place this?" she asks. I wave my hand. "You can put them wherever. I'll probably have to go over them all anyway. Do you want some coffee while you work on that?" I shake my head distractedly. "It's fine. I'll drop by the shop later." "The shop?" I look up at Sabrina. Her face is etched with confusion. "The shop," I repeat. "Sweet Caroline Bakery. Which reminds me, what do you think of keeping it in Bedford?" Sabrina snorts before bursting out laughing. She slaps the desk, her eyes closed and tears stream down her face. Her whole body racked with laughter. But I watch her in confusion. "Oh, that's hilarious," she says, wiping the tears from her eyes. "You're making my mascara run. But great joke, Dom." "I wasn't joking." Sabrina freezes. She stares at me and understanding dawns. Almost immediately, her face contorts into a sneer. "I'm sorry, what? You actually want to keep that little shop? Have you gone bonkers?" "What does that mean?" She scoffs, crossing her arms. "Are you serious right now? I can't believe you would suggest something so absurd. You've wanted that shop gone since you've bought the hotel. I thought you had that under control." "I do have it under control. I'm sorry for saying this, Dom, but you need someone to tell it to you bluntly. It seems like there might be a personal reason that plays into this. Are you sure you're doing this for the sake of the company?" I grit my teeth at her implication. "Sabrina, I value your opinion, but I'm still the boss, and you can rest assured that no matter what I do, I have Essex Hotel's best interests in mind." Her mouth twists in annoyance, and I admit I don't like her reaction. I have never seen Sabrina this opposed to a suggestion. She's cutthroat, I understand that, but I can tell she must have another reason for this. "That will be all," I say, gesturing to the door. Sabrina huffs, shakes her head in disbelief, and stalks out of my office. I return to my work and try to erase the confrontation from my mind. I don't need the bad vibes when I was having a good day until then. I'll deal with Sabrina later. It seems I have given her too much free rein. By lunchtime, I finish more work and decide I can't wait until the afternoon to see Willow. I place the unfinished work back to their place and grab my jacket. I inform my secretary that I'll be having lunch outside and will be back later. I hum as I drive down to Bedford, excited to see Willow. My eyes immediately find her when I walk into the shop. There's a considerable amount of people waiting in line. Willow doesn't see me, but Ben does and waves me over. "Hi," I greet Willow, who's busy serving a customer. She jumps at my voice. "Dom, you scared me!" she breathes out, finishing packing the order. I wait patiently until she's done with the last customer in line. Willow finally turns to me, biting her lip. Damn, she looks cute. I can't believe it's only been a few hours since I last had her. Hi, I return. Are you going to talk or just stare at each other? Ben suddenly appears beside Willow. You can talk in the back. I'll take care of the shop. Ben shoots Willow a meaningful look and gives me a thumbs up. I follow Willow to the back of the shop into the kitchen. We're barely out of view when I pull her against me and plant a kiss on her mouth. We kiss for a few moments before she pulls away. Are you going to get lunch? My lunch is here. I finger the neckline of her shirt. Dom, I'm working, she protests, but makes no move to stop me. I nip at her ear and she lets out a low moan. That reminds me, I say as something comes to mind. Don't you have that talk show later this week? She nods. Can I drive you to the studio? She raises her brow and pretends to think it over. I'll think about it. I pinch the side of her waist. She lets out a squeal and slaps my shoulder. Dom, fine. I guess you can take me to the studio. Grinning, I lean forward and resume kissing her.
Chapter 16. Willow. Are you sure this is decent enough? I asked Dom, running a hand over my off-shoulder blue maxi dress. I think I should change to another dress. Nervousness grips my heart, tightening my nerves. This is my first interview, so I want to look amazing. You're beautiful, baby. The color is perfect. It suits you, Dom replies as he grabs my hand, bringing it to his mouth. Even though the air conditioner in the car is in full blast, it's hot. Thank you, I mumble, avoiding his eyes. Crisp chuckle echoes in my ears and I turn to him, raising my brows. What's funny? Nothing, you're cute. Dom gives me a peck on the cheek. Let's go or else I might not stop myself and ravage you here. Heat travels to my cheeks and my body tingles with desire. Images of us on the bed flashes in my head. Yes, I reply breathlessly. If not, I might take the initiative and kiss Dom, which would make us not leave for the interview. Sure, Dom replies as the car speeds up out of the parking lot. People are milling around, busy carrying props and preparing for the talk show, heightening my nervousness. Gripping the edge of my dress, I weakly lean on the sofa. Sweat creases on my back as the clock ticks closer to the interview schedule. You look like you're suffering from constipation. Dom gazes at me, chuckling. Be the real you on stage. Show them your passion. I'm sure they'll like you. My heartbeat slows when I hear his statement, helping me keep my calm. Dom doesn't fail to take my attention with his smile and hazel eyes. You're very determined, Willow. The most passionate and hardworking woman I met in my entire life. Dom interlaces our fingers as his face draws closer. His breath touches my face, making me think of us, of his trust. All I can see is him. My eyes fixate on his kissable lips. Determined is my middle name, I say huskily as our lips move closer. But the sound of his phone interrupts us, bringing us back to reality. I hurriedly scoot to the edge of the couch. God, if I come any closer to Dom, he'll burn me. What? Dom answers his phone with irritation. I watch him run his fingers into his hair. The man oozes sex appeal. I know, I'll be there in about... He checks his watch. Give me 20 minutes, okay? He hangs up and stares at me. Then he advances toward me, locking me in between the shoulder of the couch and his body. You're leaving? I ask, feeling sad. It would be nice if he's here to watch me. I'm sorry, I have to go. I have an important meeting, he declares and picks a strand of my hair, putting it behind my ear. Whenever I'm with you, I forget things. Oh, I choke, not knowing what to reply. My common sense is non-existent when I'm with him. Bye for now, my Willow. He whispers in my ear and grabs my chin. Then he swoops down, giving me a sweltering, melt your panties kind of kiss. The noise drifts by and fades into nothingness as I immerse myself in Dom's embrace and kisses. Our tongues melt against each other, and my knees weaken. The interview and my anxiety fade from my mind as I focus everything on this moment. Our separation is abrupt, adding to our longing and need for each other. I'll see you later, bye. Dom caresses my face while I lean my head on his palm, slightly nodding. Hell, why does it feel like we're going to miss each other for a long time? It's crazy. We're going to see each other later. Okay, I agree, cutting our conversation short. I can't prolong this, or I might just make myself look like some lovesick fool. Bye. Nodding, he kisses my hand and leaves. His broad back disappears from my view, making me anxious once more. Is this okay? I murmur to myself. Happiness blossoms in my heart whenever I'm with Dom, but I can't help but be cautious as well. I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing. A misstep from me will burn all my progress, and it might just become the reason for the collapse of Sweet Caroline Bakery. Doing something that will harm the bakery is the last on my mind. I don't even dare to contemplate such things. Also, who in their right minds will put their hearts on the line? Closing my eyes, I try to clear my head, inhaling and exhaling in slow, deep breaths. Miss Andrews, it's time, a staff member says, bringing me back to the present. The host is looking for you. Let's touch up your makeup so you can go on stage. Sure, I reply as I follow them to the makeshift mirror on the side. I hope everything will be all right. You put so much work into Sweet Caroline Bakery, and it has paid off. What can you say to aspiring entrepreneurs like you? The host questions me. I smile, ruminating. You need passion and dedication to succeed, not just in my field, but on everything else. If you fail, stand up. Another failure, stand up faster. If you fail again, fail beautifully. Don't give up until you reach your dream. My statement comes from my heart. So far, I've enjoyed this interview. The best part was when I cooked for the audience. We prepared a cake beforehand because it will take a lot of time to cook on stage. Sharing my work with others makes me happy. That's great. Thank you for sharing your valuable insights and time with us, the host announces while the crew signals the end of the talk show. You're welcome, I wave, smiling at the audience. The loud applause and appreciation of the crowd surprises and warm my heart. Thank you. After the show, the host invites me to have a party with them. I'm sorry, I can go with you, I reply to her. Someone is waiting for me at home. I just made up a random excuse so as not to sound rude. The host seems to be disappointed, but understands my decision. After saying her goodbyes, she goes with the crew, leaving me alone. Hailing a cab, I smile, thinking I've accomplished something. But the ringing of my phone cuts off my thoughts. A piece of devastating news rocks me to my core, almost making me faint. The bakery is on fire. Ben's frantic shouting almost made me faint on the spot. What the heck happened? What am I supposed to do?
Chapter 17. Dom. This will not work, I sigh, frustrated at the lack of innovative proposals from my team. Did you forget what I told you? I want something unique, visionary. Damn, I can't help but snap at them. They look down, staring at the table. My team comprises 7 of the most brilliant minds in the company, but this is what I get. Slamming the folder on the table, I run my hands through my hair and cross my arms. Can someone tell me what did you do for the past months? Were you dawdling around? I'm not usually this harsh, but this is pissing me off. Willow went to the interview earlier, alone. I wish I was there, but I'm here, listening to nonsense of some trashy project proposals. Montgomery, what do you think? Is this project good enough? I question. They don't answer. Closing my eyes, I pinch the space between my brows. You're all dismissed. Go home. There's no point for the overtime when you can't do anything right. Turning around, I refuse to face them, or I might explode. The scraping sounds of chairs make me gloomy. The sounds of shuffling feet worsen my mood, knowing that we didn't come up with something useful. How is Willow doing? I hope she's fine. Grabbing my phone from my pocket, I plan to call her, but I stop myself. What if she's still in the interview? Checking my watch, I realize that her interview was over half an hour ago. I should see her. Smiling, I feel like my previous frustration disappear like a puff of smoke. I'm about to dial Willow's number when I receive a call from my contractor. Wondering about what he wants, I answer. Usually, he only calls me with something important. Hello? Darren, what is it? I ask him, frowning. Sir, we have a problem, he says to me, out of breath. Sweet Caroline Bakery is burning down. The building is on fire. What are you talking about? His words don't sink into me immediately. Sir, the bakery is on fire, and the fire department is on their way, Darren repeats. Damn, I curse as I hang up. Pressing the intercom, I call for Sabrina, but she doesn't answer. Rushing outside, I can't see her. Where the hell is she when I need her the most? Screw work, I murmur to myself as I glance at the mess on my table. I run out of the office to the parking lot as if it's my ass on fire. Is Willow fine? She has the habit of visiting the bakery at night. A hand grips my heart in a vice, almost suffocating me as I think of her going back there to cook. Fear takes hold of me, pushing me to race there. The urgency I feel sheds light on how important she is to me. When I arrive, half of the bakery is burning. The fire is blazing, not letting anything escape its grasp. Looking around for Willow, I worry because she's nowhere to be found. I look for her frantically. Willow! I shout amidst the crowd. People are crowding, either watching the fire as if it's a spectacle or fighting it. At the corner, I see Ben. Willow is in his arms. Relief overcomes me. Willow! I scream, running towards them. Turning to me, I see her pale face. Her eyes are red and she's trembling. Dom! She calls out weakly. Ben lets her go, but she can't stand properly on her own and almost falls. Reaching out, I envelop Willow in my arms. We gaze into each other's eyes. Dom, the bakery. She's gripping the front of my shirt tightly, her face wan. Willow, I embrace her, caressing her hair. I want to comfort her. What do I do? Her trembling body is making me anxious, driving me insane with the urge to make everything better. Willow, what happened? Do you have any idea? Encasing her face with my palms, I raise her face. Then I glance at the fire. I don't have any idea, she replies in a soft voice. When I arrived, the bakery... Willow trails off as tears drip from her eyes. It breaks my heart. You don't have to say anything, I whisper as I wipe her tears. Then I take off my jacket to protect her from the cold. Even if the fire is raging in front of us and we can feel the heat slightly, the night's cold air still permeates to our bones. My eyes seek Ben, full of questions. Ben sighs, looking pale as well. I was in the store and just came out to throw the trash. When I turned back, it was on fire, Ben answers. The fire burned so fast, destroying everything. I can hear the pain in his voice. Damn. I know how much he loves the bakery. I see, I reply. From the looks of it, only the firefighters or investigators can explain the fire. What do you think happened? Willow asks me in a raspy voice. Did it start in the kitchen? I seriously don't know, Ben answers with frustration. I was sure that I turned off everything in the kitchen. Willow bites her lip and explains, I'm not blaming you, Ben. I sigh, thinking that it will be counterproductive if they fight. But I know Willow won't blame Ben for anything. Ben is also a contributor to the bakery's success, and Willow acknowledges that fact. I know, he replies, but I can't help thinking that this is my fault. Ben, don't think along those lines, I say, interrupting them. An accident is an accident. No one wanted it to happen. But if... I trail off, not finishing my words. Willow bites her lips and gazes at me. Of course, she gets what I mean. What if this isn't an accident? I hope not, Willow, I express as I grasp her hand, interlacing our fingers. "Excuse me, Miss Andrews." A police officer butts in. "I don't mean to intrude." The officer looks young and nervous. "I'm one of the officers in charge of investigating the cause of the fire. Can I have your statement, Miss Andrews?" "Mr. Nolan's too," he explains. "This will benefit the investigation. I'll do my best to help," the officer adds, a kind smile painting his lips. "Sure, no problem," Willow replies. "We'll cooperate."
I hope you're enjoying this audiobook by Vic Savon. If you want to keep hearing more audiobooks, then please hit that subscribe button and like the video. It may seem insignificant, but the more people that subscribe, the easier it is to produce more audiobooks in the future. So please help us out and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for listening, and now back to your book.
Chapter 18. Willow. The noisy police station is giving me a headache. My migraine is acting up, making it hard for me to think. Everything is loud, ramming against my eardrums. Perhaps I should do this tomorrow. "Miss Andrews, are you okay?" The police officer from earlier, Mr. Hart, asks me. I'm sitting in front of him as we wait for the head investigator of the case. Dom is outside, waiting in the lounge as he can't come inside. "I'm fine," I force myself to reply. I can't delay. Even Ben is here and he suffered more than me. He burned his palm when he tried to get into the bakery, thinking that he could stop the fire from the inside. "Hello, everyone." Hearing a man come in, I glance at the entrance. A man in his 40s saunters towards us, a polite smile on his face. "Hello, Miss Andrews and Mr. Nolan," the man greets us. "I'm the head investigator in charge of your case, Detective Brent Allison." He offers his hand to me for a handshake. We shake hands and Ben does the same. "Hello, Detective," I reply as I sit back down, but he invites us to sit in front of his table on the other side of the room. "Follow me," he says, grabbing a chair for me, and points at another chair for Ben. A team is currently searching for clues about what happened to the bakery. I trust that Police Officer Hart got your preliminary statements, but I would like to listen to your statements myself. "Yes," Ben and I reply at the same time. "Great, but I have a few more questions. Let's say that this is a verification," the detective expresses. He reads our statements, all the while glancing at us. This man knows how to intimidate people. There's this look in his eyes that speaks volumes, feeling like he can see through me. "It says here that Mr. Nolan was in the bakery during the fire?" he asks as he stares at Ben. "Yes, I was. I closed the store today since Miss Andrews is out," Ben explains. "I was throwing the trash, but when I turned back, the bakery was on fire. It was that fast." I can hear the pain in Ben's voice. He looks sad as he recalls the memory. "And Miss Andrews was on a talk show hours ago?" he questions me. "Yes. When I arrived at the bakery, almost half of it was burning." I choke. Damn, the memory pains me. "Mr. Nolan, did you notice anything while you were there? Perhaps you've forgotten to turn off the range oven?" he questions, intimidating Ben. The latter pales. "Sir, I try to answer as Ben is wan and uncomfortable at his line of questioning. I repeat, Mr. Nolan, did you notice anything?" The detective glances at me, changing his way of questioning. Thank God. "I noticed nothing." Ben licks his lips, nervous. Then a solemn look paints his face. "I'm sure I turned off all the range ovens in the kitchen," he replies, full of conviction. "Miss Andrews," he directs his piercing eyes at me. He's about to question me further when a voice cuts him off. "Detective, we found evidence regarding the burning of the bakery." A police officer rushes in and speaks excitedly. "We need you to see it." "Follow me." Detective Allison gestures for us to follow him. We walk into another room, smaller than before but full of computers. "Detective," another police officer, a woman calls us. Here. You got the tapes? Allison questions, and the officer nods. Great, he replies and turns to us. Earlier, we found the store in front of yours has security cameras. It just took time to retrieve the videos as we have to follow formal procedures and talk to the owner. Oh, I nod. Ben and I stare at each other, nervous. We're going to watch it, right? Yes, the woman replies. She presses the play button. At first, nothing was amiss, but a few minutes later, the tape catches Ben going out of the restaurant through the back door. The video pauses and the officer says, "We watched this video, and the next part is crucial." She plays it again. A few seconds after Ben left, a person in a hooded jacket comes out of hiding and runs into the open door carrying a plastic bag. Before coming into the bakery, the person looks around and eventually looks up. The camera catches the person's face. The suspect used a face mask, but it's slightly lower, revealing half of the face. Staggering, I grab Ben's arms for support. "Sabrina, Dom's chief of staff," I murmur. "What the hell?" After the woman leaves, she presses something in her hand. The bakery bursts into flames. Ben comes running and tries to open the door, but another explosion throws his body away. "God," Ben gasps, and she hugs me. "Ben, it's Sabrina, Dom's chief of staff. My heart can't possibly handle the stress of thinking of Dom's involvement in the arson." "We have identified the woman, Sabrina Winters. I'm guessing you know her?" the detective asks. I nod weakly. I still can't believe it. How can this be? Sabrina and Dom work closely. She won't do anything without Dom telling her to do it. Unless she has gone insane. I rub my face, trying to make sense of things. "We need anything you know about her." The detective interrupts my musings. "I'll tell you everything I know," Ben interrupts. "You can talk to Willow tomorrow." "Okay," Allison agrees, leaving with Ben. Another police officer leads me out of the room and into the lounge. I can't think straight. No way. No way. I keep repeating the words in my head. But there's a high chance that this is the truth. In the first place, Dom wanted to destroy the bakery. What if his closeness to me is just a ploy? What if this is his real aim? "Willow, what?" Dom rushes towards me, asking a question. But before he can finish it, I cut him off with a slap. He gasps. His face swerves to the side. It's red and my hands are painful. God, I can't believe he betrayed me. He looks shocked, his mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. Before he can form coherent words, I storm out of the station. My heart breaks into 1,000 pieces. We're over.
Chapter 19. Dom. Willow. I run after her, but she's nowhere in sight. Then a cab passes by, almost hitting me. Willow is in the back seat, stoic. "Willow!" Screaming, I run after the cab after it disappears from my view. Hell, I don't know what happened. She just slapped me a few minutes ago and stormed out without saying a word. The sting of her palm felt like a knife stabbed into my heart. Damn it, I curse, kicking the road. The asphalt made my feet hurt. Damn! I limp back to the station. Knowing what happened is my top priority. I think I'll get my answer inside. Why did she slap me? Detective, can I watch the video? I approach the detective when I see him talking to another officer. Mr. Grenier. I'm surprised that the detective knows me. We've investigated everyone related to Miss Andrews, and you came up as a person of interest in our investigation. But don't worry, you're not a suspect. Still, I think it's best if you watch the CCTV video we got from Miss Andrews' neighbor. We need you to tell us everything you know, the detective explains. Sure, I'll help in whatever way I can, I reply. CCTV? Damn it, it's not an accident. I follow him to his table and he turns his laptop toward me. A picture appears on the screen. My eyes widen as I realize who is the person wearing the hooded jacket. Sabrina? What the hell? Yes, it's Sabrina Winner, he affirms. She might be the one who burned the bakery. Damn! I curse as I run my hand on my hair. Why did she do this? Sabrina, of all people? No wonder Willow slapped me. She must think I'm the mastermind, as Sabrina and I work together most of the time. We also don't know her motivation, but we need to put her under custody. I'm afraid she's dangerous, the detective replies. This is my phone number. Glancing at the card in my hands, I realized that this man in front of me was the famous modern Sherlock detective Brent Allison. I heard of this man's name from the news. I'll do my best to cooperate with the police force to bring her to justice, I say. She might be in the office. In your company? He asks me. I'm not sure, but I need to leave, I reply. I don't want to waste time. It's up to you if you're going to go there. I leave immediately and rush to the office. And my hunch is right. Sabrina is here. She's working as if nothing happened. Maybe she's a psycho. It sends chills to my spine. She turns and sees me staring at her by the doorway. I've prepared everything for tomorrow's meeting, sir. She speaks and smiles at me. If I didn't see the video, I'll probably believe this person in front of me. This person is the opposite of the malevolent woman I saw in the tape. Are you in a hurry, Mr. Grenier? You seem out of breath, Sabrina asks me good-naturedly. Frowning, I think of Willow's slap, and anger bursts out, consuming me. Sabrina, what did you do? I ask her, clenching the side of the door. What do you mean, sir? She asks me, feigning ignorance. You burned Willow's bakery! You ruined Sweet Caroline! Screaming, I can't help but step closer to her. She raises her chin and gives me a smirk. The soft smile disappears from her lips, and a crazed look replaces it. What? Sabrina pouts and smiles in satisfaction. God, who the hell is this woman? I can't believe she can smile like this. I did it for you. I got rid of the bakery for you, Sabrina declares. I did it for you. I did well, right? Tell me. You're crazy, Sabrina. Crazy! I snap at her. It takes everything in me not to slap her. I should leave her to the police. I'm the crazy one. Sabrina's eyes turn bloodshot. I wanted to help you. I wanted to get rid of her in your life. She's bothering you and me. Seriously, you're hopeless, I say, feeling disgust with her around. Guards! They are waiting outside, and a group of them rush inside. Take this woman with you, I order them. Make sure to keep an eye on her until the police arrive. They're on their way. Sitting on my chair weakly, I think of what happened. Willow's hurting, and I can't blame her for thinking the worst. I haven't made things clear between us. But first things first. I grab the detective's card in my pocket and ring his phone. Sabrina, she's here, I inform him. We're on our way. Thank you for your help, he replies to me as he hangs up. Walking to the windows, I watch the stars as I try to clear my mind. But nothing comes as the image of heartbroken Willow lingers in my head. What can I do to make things right between us? Willow, I sigh, leaning my forehead on the frosty glass of the floor-to-ceiling window. Usually, the view of Manhattan from my position calms my mind. But not this time. I realize that all that I have is nothing if I lose her. It will be useless. She showed me true happiness, not the one money and power can give. I'm truly happy when I'm with her, and nothing else matters. God, I love her so much. A knock on my door brings me back to the present. Detective Allison is standing by the door. It was open, he explains. Sabrina is in our custody. We'll make sure she won't be able to do anything to hurt Miss Andrews or anyone at that. That's great, I reply. At least this debacle is over. Sabrina will pay for her crimes. Detective Allison smiles and says, Thank you for your cooperation. Then he leaves. Deafening silence takes over, leaving me at war with my mind. Tomorrow, I'll talk to Willow. It's a promise.
Chapter 20. Willow. It hurts My heart is aching and my eyes are painful. I don't have tears left to cry. I'm devoid of energy and my body refuses to move. Every time I remember last night's situation, I suffocate as if smoke entered my body. I can't breathe. I can't talk. I can't think. Then Dom's face flashes into my head, reminding me of what he did. His betrayal dealt the killing blow. It's as if I can hear my heart breaking again and again into small glass shards. Oh God, I moan as I lay on my bed, knees to my chest, hugging myself. There's no sense of comfort. I lost everything. Life is playing with me. It gave me a chance to feel what I'm missing, only to snatch it back. A sob escapes my throat, but there are no more tears. My eyes are dry because I've been crying all night. The ringing of my phone takes my attention, garnering courage to answer it. I swallow and clench my hands before I grab it. Danny's name appears on the screen. Should I answer? Disappointment blooms in my heart. What did I expect? Dom's face flits in my mind, and I ruthlessly push it away. I shouldn't dream. Hello? I ask in a raspy voice. Danny? Willow, are you okay? Do you need me to come? I can come in an hour. I have to finish some things on my end, Danny offers. Thank God for my best friend. I'm fine, I reply. No need. Danny sighs and says, you have to call me, and I'll be there. Also, I want to let you know that some pieces of equipment are fine. A bit burned, but fixable. Really? But I saw the kitchen burn? I ask, hope in my voice. Oh, I mean the new, uninstalled pieces of equipment in the storage room? It's the farthest from the fire, Danny replies. But Willow, the bakery, I don't think that insurance money is enough to repair it. I know. Repairing it will cost a lot. I've seen the fire with my own eyes. And where am I going to get that money to start anew? Damn, I feel so useless and disappointed. I've let my mother down. Why is life so hard? Dom betrayed me too. The loud, pertinent knocking on my front door makes me stop talking. What's wrong? Danny asks me. Nothing, I assure her. It's just that someone is here knocking rudely on my door. What? I'll come over, Danny volunteers. Wait for me, don't. No need, I say when I hear a familiar voice calling my name. It's someone I know. Talk to you later. Hanging up, I grab my bathrobe on the couch and wear it. Then I go out of my bedroom into the living room. Willow! Willow! Please answer me. Are you okay? Dom's frantic shouting makes me grimace. Is he planning to bring the house down? I can even hear him while I'm in my room, despite the walls. He has the guts to come here, and now he's disturbing the peace? What do you want? I ask as I stand near the door. Stop banging on it. I don't like it. I'm sorry. I was just so worried when you didn't answer, he replies. I thought something happened. What? You think I'd run away or something? I frown, feeling angry. He's showing his concern toward me. But what he did was the exact opposite. That's not what I mean. He sounds frustrated. I want to explain. Please listen to me, Willow. My heart races when I hear the sincerity in his voice. But I don't want to give in. What if he's going to spout lies? Please talk to me. Open the door, Willow. Dom begs. No, I say with confidence, but my heart is wavering. My heart is waging an internal war with my mind. Okay, that's fine. He concedes. But can you listen to me? He chokes on his last word. My hand goes to the knob, but I stop myself. It's as if I'm moved out of reflex. I don't care what you want to say, I reply, my back on the door. Sliding to the floor, I rest my face on my knees as I hug them. Go away. I can't, Willow. Dom refuses to listen. His persistence is slowly chipping on my resolve. Please go, I say in a raspy voice. You can't be here, Dom. I'm sorry, Willow, he continues. I can't give up on us, not this time or any time in the future. I stay silent, panicking inside. Am I going to give in? My heart is winning against my rational mind. There's a lump in my throat, preventing me from saying the words to push him away. Sabrina, she's crazy, Willow. She told me she wanted to get rid of you for me, Dom begins. But I never wanted it. God, Willow, I can't possibly hurt you. Please believe me. Crazy? It's an understatement. Clenching the edge of my bathrobe, I prevent myself from speaking, allowing him to continue. She's in police custody now. When I arrived at my office, she was there. I called the police, Willow. He explains to me. I'll do anything to make sure she pays for what she did. Silence ensues as I refuse to speak. I don't know what I'm waiting for, but I feel like my heart is breaking. He feels guilty, right? What am I to him? Closing my eyes, I try to think objectively. At least Sabrina will stay behind bars. Willow, talk to me, Dom begs. Baby, I love you with all my heart. It's as if time stops between us, making me breathless. Did I hear it right? What did you... I lick my lips. What did you just say? I love you, Willow, Dom says. I'm hoping you feel the same way. It was stupid of me to realize it too late. I've never expected to fall in love. It wasn't on my plans. Are you sure? I choke a little. Yes, I've never loved anyone as much as I love you, he replies. I open the door and his tear-streaked face greets me. Dom, I jump, clinging to his neck. I love you. Please don't cry. Really? He sounds surprised, disbelief coloring his face. I do, I answer, full of love and admiration. His lips swoop down to kiss mine. Finally, I can express my love for him. After a few minutes, we separate, gulping a vast amount of air. Let's go to the hotel. He caresses my face. Hotel? I ask, looking away in embarrassment. How can I refuse? Dom chuckles, giving me a peck on the lips. We're going to the hotel to talk about how to fix the bakery. What were you thinking? A grin graces his lips, and I slap his arm playfully for leading me to think of something else. Let's go. I walk faster, afraid he'll tease me. I hope we can be like this for a long time, happy and in love.